and I just pressed record. So we are recording another episode of the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. My name is Yuras, and I am here with my co-host Rain. As always, the episode is super late, and we're recording the same topic for the second time. Technical issues.
Life happened and technical issues happened, so we're here.
Yeah, the first recording got lost, and it's a shame because we recorded a podcast about the topic that we're going to be talking about today, and I remember it was an hour and 30 minutes.
And yeah, I remember we had so much fun recording that one.
No, and then I think the discussion was really great. So it was really disappointing, but then I think we didn't want, because I already had another topic moving forward in my head. So I think that's going to still happen, definitely, the topic that we're going to be talking about after this topic. But that's coming up later. And I guess we didn't want to, because we spent time looking into the Bennington Triangle.
And it's a very interesting topic. We don't want it to go to waste.
Definitely not. Bennington Triangle. Today we are talking about a geographical location that allegedly is a location in Vermont, northeastern America. The center of this triangle is the Glastonbury Mountain. And according to some people, there is an abnormal amount of strange disappearances in this particular triangle in Vermont. And we're going to talk about it today. Have you ever heard about the Bennington Triangle?
Not at all, though. I don't even know how you managed to find this topic. Was it a commenter suggestion or...
This one wasn't.
Oh, you found it yourself.
I found it. I ran across this one, and it was very strange to me. It's like, a bunch of people going missing from generally the same area, which is not heavily populated. It's not like there's a bunch of people in Vermont, but they all go missing from there. No, not all of them, but there's a bunch of people. And the location is, like, let's say, pretty, like...
Specific,
but it's, like, not a very big location. And I think statistically looking at it, it's way too many people going missing for Vermont in that area. Because, Vermont is, I think, the second least populated state in America. There's not a lot of people in Vermont. Okay, let's talk about it. So... the whole Bennington Triangle was, I guess, as a subject invented by a, I wouldn't say conspiracy guy, but a guy from America called Joseph Citro. I don't know who this guy is, but
maybe he was an author, a writer or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he wrote books about the Bennington Triangle, and I think he is the one who kind of sensationalized this topic. So... he described in his writings that there is this region in southern western Vermont where a series of unexplained disappearances had occurred, specifically between 1945 and 1950. So there's strange or, like, let's say, dreadful things that had been happening in Vermont, in that area, for as long as, I don't know, almost like a couple hundred years at this point. And I guess we're going to mention a few of those events. But specifically, the vast majority of these weird disappearances happened between 45 and 50. So once again, it's like a very narrow period of time in the grand scheme of things, only 5 years. And it doesn't seem like afterwards there were that many disappearances happening. So also something to take into account. Once again, I mentioned earlier, apparently, according to Joseph A. Citro, the whole Bennington Triangle is centered around Glastonbury Mountain, which I think it's just a regular mountain. I mean, you've done your research. Have you came across anything about this I don't know, Glastonbury Mountain, something about the natives.
Yeah, the Native Americans. Apparently, there was a group of Native Americans who avoided this particular mountain for some weird reason. I can't remember exactly what their name was. Abenaki, Anaki. Do you have any idea?
I think it was a Abenaki,
Abenaki, yeah.
something like that. Sorry if
Butchered
we
it. I
butchered it.
lost my notes.
Yeah.
Anyways, they think this area is like, I don't know, they're just avoiding it for some weird reason. And I don't know,
Since back in the day.
since back in the day. And upon further research, I also known that it was a town back in the day. But then something happened. Tragedy, natural disasters.
Yeah. So just sorry for interrupting, because I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the city of Glastonbury, and you're talking about the city
And we're talking about the mountain.
about a mountain. Yeah.
Wait. So this city that was abandoned, was it somewhere located up the mountain?
Yeah. So real. I guess I want to explain here to everyone who are not familiar with this. Bennington Triangle. Bennington is a fully alive city, and I guess it's the biggest and most notable city alongside this triangle. But it's not in the center. It's just coined Bennington Triangle because I think a lot of the disappearances had some connection to Bennington. But the center of it, or what it seems like where most of these people may have potentially heading towards, was Glastonbury, which would be in the center of this geographical triangle. And Glastonbury, as you mentioned, is a ghost town. It was a notable logging town back in the day, but eventually the logs ran out and there was no reason for like the townspeople to remain there. So everyone left, and eventually it lost its township rights in America, and it became a ghost town, and it's no longer, doesn't have any services provided. It's just abandoned.
I read somewhere that there were also like natural disasters that affected that town.
Definitely. There were natural disasters. What was it? The flood?
Yeah.
The flood, right? And it just basically was really bad. But so there's an abandoned town, and now you're seeing the Abenakis, the Native Americans. They also view this place as a place to avoid since back in the day. That's kind of creepy.
I don't know. I'm with them on this. If they say avoid something, I'm gonna avoid like whatever they say to avoid.
I mean, are you gonna, disagree with the Abenaki,
No, of course not.
right? So, the story I heard from the Abenaki, once again, probably they're called something completely different. And if that's the case, then I'm very sorry. But I heard the story that they kept saying is that there is a rock, a strange rock somewhere down there in those forests, in the triangle, that if you step on it, it will eat you alive. It's like more on the, I would say, speculatory.
I think it's kind of very specific, but I'm still with them on this. I would avoid that rock or that area
In
at all
general.
costs. Yeah.
All right. So now let's talk about the 5.
Wait. Before we do that,
Sure.
can you please tell us how close or the proximity of Bennington to the Glastonbury Mountain?
I don't know exactly how much, how long, how far away it is. I think
If I'm living in Bennington, do you think for the weekend, I could go to the Glastonbury Mountain?
easily, but you can't walk. You have to maybe drive up to the trail.
But it's just right there, right?
Yeah, it's pretty close. But I mean, everything is drivable. Nothing here is walkable.
No, I meant like, is it going to be like a 3-hour drive? 4-hour? Definitely not, right? It's just there.
No, I think it's maybe like maybe half an hour.
So you could expect locals to just drive there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, it's a fairly traversed trail. So now we're going to be talking about the 5 disappearances that occurred between 45 and 50. And this is why this triangle is even a thing to begin with. Let's start. first person to go missing was in 1945. A 74-year-old senior man named Midi Rivers. He went missing in the Bickford Hollow Road. Bickford Hollow Road is a road that eventually would lead you towards Glastonbury Mountain, as I can understand. This man went missing while hunting with a group. Now, there's varying sources. Some sources say that he was alone. Some sources say that he was leading a pack of hunters. I think I've seen more sources claiming that he wasn't alone.
I've seen a source where it was said that he was out there with his son-in-law. So it's very conflicting.
It's very conflicting. I've read a source that says that his son-in-law had a hunting camp alongside the Long Trail. The Long Trail is a very cool thing, in my opinion. The Long Trail is a hiking trail that spans over 200 kilometers or miles or something like that, something crazy. And it literally, vertically spans the whole state of Vermont. So you could go from, you know what I'm saying, from Canada.
Well, that's a long trail.
Yeah. You could cross from Canada and end up in what, like Massachusetts? That's crazy. And you could just walk the trail for days. So apparently, Midi River's son-in-law had a hunting camp along the Long Trail. And Midi was an experienced hunter, and he basically goes missing. The story that I've seen on a couple of sources is that he is leading a pack of hunters on November 12th, 1945. For some reason, he, I guess, goes ahead of the group for a little bit. I don't know how much ahead, but apparently out of viewing distance. And he is never seen again.
Okay, with him leading, like walking ahead of the group, I kind of understand. He's been experienced in this field. He knows probably the route way more than anyone in that group.
Yeah.
But the fact that he went missing is something else. It's kind of creepy.
The only thing they ever found was a handkerchief that belonged to him. And they never found anything else. I don't know why that is. What is a handkerchief? Can you walk me through this? Because I've heard it a million times. What is it?
The best way I could describe it is, remember when you had the story about your grandmother giving you a piece of rug?
Oh, that's
the cloth
yeah,
to wipe your face and to wipe your nose with it.
To blow my snot. Yeah, that's
and you keep it in your pocket. That's the
the
handkerchief.
Soviet Union tradition. To if you have a nasty snot in your nose, you will take out a piece of cloth from your pocket. And
I remember you described it as a rug, and it was pretty funny.
It's like this specific thing that doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, you would blow your snot into this piece of cloth, and then you would just willy-nilly put it back in your pocket for future use.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily just for snot. You could wipe your...
For anything.
Yeah.
Things were different.
Your eyes, your tears, whatever.
Things were different back then. I don't know how they would do it. They would just hand wash the snotty cloth later.
Yeah, actually, growing up. Yep.
Okay, going back to the story, Midi River's handkerchief, the only thing that was found. And the only thing I'm going to say is it's strange. Experienced hunter going missing in the area where he was definitely familiar with. The only thing they find is a handkerchief.
I mean, a handkerchief could easily slip out of a pocket.
Definitely. Or, yeah, definitely, I agree. And I think maybe I'm thinking the fact that Midi was 74, almost 75, his age could have gotten the better of him. Those forests are dense, and I'm thinking, okay, it's one disappearance, okay? If something like this happens and it's an isolated event, I don't think it's anything strange.
You know what? I just thought of one thing. What if Minnie tried to walk a different path? Maybe he was looking for a shortcut, whatever. And then, since the forest is dense, he got lost, and eventually his age got to him.
Yeah, I would say that's a possibility.
It's very impressive though. He was 75,
Yeah,
and he was still like doing a lot of things.
Yeah,
I'm not that old. I tried to pick up something from the ground a couple of weeks ago, and my knee started hurting, and I was like, "Yep, maybe it's time to make sure I exercise every day."
or at least every other day.
Yeah,
But as I've said, one guy goes missing. I don't think it's anything to like cause of alarm right now. No serial killer thoughts yet.
if only one guy went missing.
Yeah, but this is where we start talking about the other people. Okay. So let's talk about the other individuals. Okay, so once again, maybe you could pull out the file later on. Not right now. I have some images for us to take a look at. The second case is of a woman who went missing, and this woman is basically the reason why I think this thing even came into play, the Bennington Triangle, because she is the most well-known victim from the 5-year time span. So we're going to be talking about Paula Jean Welden. There is out of all of these people who went missing, I think there's only Paula's case that has a significant backstory and background. Other people who went missing, I think there is a limited amount of information. So Paula, she was 18 and she was a sophomore at Bennington College. She disappeared on December 1st, 1946. So it was a little over a year later after Midi. She disappeared while she was hiking the long trail in Vermont. The search for her led to basically creation of the Vermont State Police, because before she went missing, I think they had the sheriff system. You know, like in America, they have a sheriff system in some locations, but the sheriff couldn't really handle the case. So a professional state police division was conceived, I think mainly because of how the sheriff wasn't able to handle the disappearance of Paula. And yeah, no trace of Paula has ever been found. We have an image of Paula. What do you think about her from the picture alone? What are you seeing here?
A typical young woman, Caucasian, blue eyes, probably potentially. I'm not sure if she's ginger or light brown hair.
Looks looks like she could have red hair.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Nothing notable. It just looks like a regular young woman.
Yeah.
And what happened to her though? Like what happened leading up to her disappearance?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So, uh, let's talk a little bit about what happened to her. So, for some reason, okay, she decides that she wants to go hiking on a random day after her college studies on December 1st. So, at first, she goes around and she tries to get some of her college classmates to go with her, but as I understand, nobody was available to go with her. So then she proceeds to go alone. She then hitchhiked. She grabbed, she like asked for a ride from,
That's not very safe.
yeah, but it's 46. Probably those, horror stories haven't really been publicized.
But from what I know, she came from a rich family, right?
Yes.
I'm surprised she didn't have a car back then.
Yeah, that's also an interesting point because her father was a very notorious like industrialist and he was a designer and an architect. I think he like designed some like glassware or
Oh,
something.
wow.
Yeah. So he was a big boy, let's put it that way. And
For the lack of better explanation.
yeah. and back then in America. And yeah, so basically he goes. His daughter goes to Bennington College. I think they weren't from Bennington. They were from the north eastern America, but they weren't from Bennington specifically. But his daughter decides to go on a hike. No one apparently goes with her, so she decides to go alone. She hitchhikes towards the long trail, and some dude dropped her off. Basically, she didn't have enough of a preparation to hike for a very long time. She only had a few. She only was dressed very lightly, and by all accounts, it seemed that she was intending to go back home on the same day. Yeah.
Okay, December, the month of December. I'm assuming it's really cold.
It's probably really cold in Vermont.
Winter.
Yes.
And she was dressed lightly. And do you know approximately at which hour, which time she hitchhiked and got into the
I
trail?
believe it was in the afternoon.
And so there's a chance. There could have been a chance she would still be on the trail at nighttime.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm assuming that she was only intending to be there in a short period of time with the way she dressed, probably just out for a walk. Maybe she wanted to take a breather and head back to the college,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. So this is the additional information, okay? Kind of to also add to what you just said. So there are several aspects about Paula's case that could suggest that it was a completely spontaneous decision to go. So it was apparently a fairly abrupt decision to go hiking alone. She asked for people to go with her, but no one went. And her choice to hike on a winter afternoon without proper cold weather gear suggests that she probably wanted to come back home shortly after. Also, she had the minimal preparation. She didn't take any additional clothing or bring extra money. And then some reports apparently suggested that she was in high spirits, but other reports suggest that she may have been dealing with personal issues. So I think that's up for debate. But generally, I'm under the assumption that it wasn't self harm because she asked someone else to go with her.
Yeah.
So I'm ruling out self harm. The timeline basically, she leaves her college dorm, she goes on the long trail, she hitchhikes on Route 9 near the Furnace Bridge in Vermont. And then multiple hikers apparently saw her in that afternoon, and they even reported that Paula went up to them and she asked for questions about where to go. So the last confirmed sighting actually places her on the road portion of the long trail, heading into a wooded area as darkness approached. So Paula continued walking in the northerly direction on the road portion of the trail, now known as Harbor Road. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of perspective. This is where I need you to kind of take a look at the maps. So remember last time when we were talking about this case, I've showed you a picture, Google Street View image. So we have Harbor Road, and there's Google Street View on Harbor Road. But at some point, Harbor Road, this very rural road in the middle of nowhere in Vermont, it kind of ends. But at the end of the drivable road, there seems to be like a wooded, walkable area,
Trail.
a trail. So apparently that's where she kept going. And now if you look at the map below the Google Street View image, I kind of, to give you a better perspective, where Midi Rivers went missing from. So you see Harbor Road and you see Bickford Hollow Road. So
Oh man, it's pretty far away from Bennington.
yeah, but the Bennington's not the the point of interest. The point of interest is how close Harbor Road and Bickford Hollow Road are. They're kind of close.
It feels like they went missing on the same trail.
Yeah.
It feels like it, no? It could be just one straight trail and they both disappeared from there.
Yeah, but then, now you have a complete opposite person from Midi Rivers, a young woman who goes missing. And, you know, you have a very experienced hunter who goes missing. And then a year later, in the similar location, a young woman goes missing. Isn't that kind of like already a little bit eyebrow raising? Or not
In
really?
what way?
Like that, I don't know, something more is happening in that location?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, so far, yes. What I'm thinking right now is that I'm ruling out a serial killer in the area. Or
Why?
maybe there
Why?
is. Oh, maybe there could
Why are
have been.
you ruling out a serial killer?
I don't know. It's just so random. They're two different. There's no like specific profile or similarities. But maybe there is. Maybe this person, the serial killer, is in that trailer living close to it and just
Yeah.
targeting random people.
Anyone who
Anyone, yeah.
can.
Anyone who's strayed.
Why are you ruling out a serial killer?
No, I was thinking more of like someone who's aiming for a specific profile.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that because all of the 5 victims have very different profiles.
Extremely.
So it looks like it's not a targeted assailant there. So speaking about a suspect, we have a suspect. A man named Fred Gadet. Remember Fred? I told you about Fred before.
Very sketchy Fred.
Fred Gadet was a lumberjack, and he was living close to the trail, close to the area where Paula went missing from. On the exact same day when Paula went missing, Fred apparently, he had an argument with his girlfriend on the same day. And there are reports that he was really upset. And then he was questioned by police for obvious reasons because he kind of lives close to that location. And then he lied to police. He lied, he basically gave conflicting basically, I don't know, testimony or whatever. So he first said that he just stormed out, I think, out of his girlfriend's place, and then he went to his shack in the forest, and then he just slept it off. But on a different occasion, he said something different. He said that he took his car and he drove to the, I guess, the walking part of the trail. So maybe at that end of that, drivable road where the wooded road begins. Maybe that's what it's implied here. And I don't know, man. At that point, you have a very agitated lumberjack also there. I think it's worth mentioning that Paula did run into multiple hikers on the day. I don't think anyone really reported seeing Fred there. So either he just somehow didn't run into other hikers, or he was
A bit late.
or concealing his whereabouts.
But come on, even if come on, lumberjack, regular person, if you're in that agitated state, if you're just a nice, normal person,
I would say a lumberjack. I don't know. It's like I feel like it's yeah, of course I would say most lumberjacks are completely normal people, but
of course.
but I would say a lumberjack could have secrets.
Just like how I could have secrets.
Yeah, but they could have, like different type of secrets. Like where it's like, and he was a suspect on 2 occasions.
Wait, what?
He was a suspect. Well, he was only a suspect in Paula's case.
Oh, okay.
But he was a suspect initially, and then several years when they reopened the case, he was the suspect again. So police sticked to him. That means they couldn't fully rule him out ever. So I don't know. Maybe that's definitely suspicious in my opinion. Fred is very suspicious.
I think he is very suspicious because even if you had a fight with your girlfriend and then are you just gonna drive to a random trail and start killing off people? No.
No.
Only a psycho would do
A
that.
psycho, yeah.
So Fred, all along, if he actually was the culprit,
Or maybe
was a concealed psycho.
maybe he potentially could have ran across Paula. And maybe he didn't look for specifically to kill someone, but maybe just, just things played out in a certain way,
Potentially, yeah.
you know? So there are a few theories, right? The main theories is that basically three theories: that she got lost in the wilderness, that there's foul play involved, potentially abduction and murder, or there's a runaway or self-harm explanation.
I would
So
rule
yeah,
out self-harm because it doesn't seem so.
it doesn't seem so. It looks like from the story, it looks like she just wanted to go into the forest.
Yeah. Losing her way, potentially. Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out. Although Fred is very suspicious right now in this case.
I would have said losing your way in the wilderness seems like the most rational
Yeah.
explanation here, but the fact that Midi went missing just a year prior, that kind of moves up the possibility of something weird happening in that location a little bit higher for
Are you
me.
saying something supernatural?
No, definitely not. I'm saying maybe there's
A serial killer
a
on the
serial
loose?
killer, but then once again, would Fred kill Midi? Would that ever happen? Probably
If he
not.
was a psycho living close by, I wouldn't put it past him.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a reason police was investigating him a couple of times.
Multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. When we first started talking about this Bennington Triangle, I started researching about it. I kind of thought it could be like somehow of a Netflix series, kind of like supernatural, spooky way, kind of like from the TV series.
I think it's a good setting.
It is a good setting, but now like we're digging more and more into these cases. It seems like there is a logical explanation with these disappearances.
Well, let's move on then. Let's see how.
Wait. I think you forgot to mention. I remember the first time we recorded, you mentioned that a couple of years, maybe a few months, I can't remember the exact date, Fred mentioned to someone or to his friends that he knows where Paula's body is located or something.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
Actually, sorry because I completely forgot about it. By the way, I just want to make sure you talk straight into the mic.
I'm talking straight to the mic.
Ah, okay. It just looked to me like your mic is sideways, but maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. No, I just wanted to check. Yeah, very grateful that you mentioned it because I would have forgotten it. In fact, yes, Fred Gadet did say at some point that he knew, like, where Paula's remains were buried. But later on, when he was asked about it, he said that it was just like him talking crap.
I'm so sorry. It's not normal.
It's like it's not normal, but I could see how it's a guy, a lumberjack at the bar getting drunk and just
Being braggy.
being braggy for no reason about doing something terrible.
But that's just odd.
Strange.
Really strange. I think this guy should have been investigated more.
I think he was twice.
But nothing at all?
Nothing. They couldn't find nothing. Maybe the technology wasn't there. Or
True.
maybe the police force wasn't there.
What was this? 45?
46.
Oh.
The next person to go missing was a 68-year-old World War I veteran, James Tedford, who went missing on a very spooky date. He went missing on December 1st, 1949. Literally 3 years on the exact same day. On the exact same day as Paula. So what a amazing coincidence.
I'm telling you, I'm with the Abenaki on this one.
You don't want to go there.
No, not at all.
So James Tedford, he was visiting family members in St. Albans, which is a city in the northern part of Vermont, but he was at the time himself living in Bennington, and he was living in the veterans house because he was a World War One veteran and he needed support, and there's an institution called the Bennington veteran house, and that's where he was living. So his extended relatives from St. Albans, they remember walking him to the bus stop that was supposed to take him eventually back to Bennington, but he apparently was very not necessarily agitated, but he didn't want to go back to Bennington. He didn't want to go back to the veterans house. Apparently, he did not like living there, and the it was his disappearance was very sensationalized because people claimed that James Tedford somehow miraculously managed to vanish during the bus journey. Apparently, he walked into the bus and he never walked out. But I think later on, this was proven to be just sensationalized a little bit too much because a bus driver did remember a man fitting James Tedford's physical description stepping out in a small town. I forgot, small town of Brandon. Okay, it's a small town. Brandon is somewhere in the middle between St. Albans and Bennington. So somewhere halfway, it's very likely that Tedford actually walked out. There was no reason. There was no reason for James Tedford to step out in Brandon. No reason that we know of. He didn't have any connection to that town, as far as I'm aware. And then later on, Brandon police, that small town police, reported that there was a strange man acting weird in the downtown Brandon area, and that strange man fitted James Tedford's description. So it's highly likely that for some strange reason, the 68-year-old World War One veteran steps out in Brandon and acts strange.
I could sense some runaway aspect here. Or because, like, maybe there's a reason he doesn't want to go back to the veterans house. Maybe he wants to stay with his family, or maybe he just really just don't want to go back.
I think he
And he ran
doesn't.
away.
I think he didn't want to go back.
Or do you think there could be a possibility of something psychological, like maybe due to age or something else was happening in there? There was, I don't know what's the word. He was lucid?
I think so. I think even his family said he had mental illness.
I'm just surprised at how they let him ride a bus alone then. But maybe it was a quick ride.
I mean, he probably did it before. Not the first time. So yeah, when we talk about the only strange thing here is the date, and if we're gonna be talking about some serial killer picking people off, would they be like that same Fred Gadet would be like, okay, it's 3-year anniversary, I'm gonna kill again, and then conveniently picks a guy who's already acting weird. I mean, statistically, obviously it's a possibility, but I think it's very unlikely that that same person who killed Paula would be like, okay, it's a 3-year anniversary, I'm gonna kill again. And he kills in a different location and he chooses a man who's already having a very abnormal day. So the coincidences are too crazy.
Yeah, it's way too crazy.
So I would say I'm probably still connecting to some extent. Well, not really, but I'm open to the possibility of there being a connection between Paula and Midi Rivers' case.
I'm open with the possibility of Midi Rivers having a connection with this guy.
James Tedford?
Yeah.
Why?
They're both not middle age, a senior. And that's it. That's
But
all
what's
I
the
have.
connection? It's
The
just,
age.
but it's just the similarity of the case. Or do you think there's a specific senior killer,
Potentially, yeah, that's what I
the
was
Vermont
aiming for.
senior killer?
Senior killer. Nah, that sounds awful.
That sounds weird, man.
Yeah.
The Vermont senior killer? I mean, but that's your connection.
Well, I mean, come on. I was just looking at the three cases and I could see that
Similarities.
yeah, similarities, and I'm
No,
just
I'm
pointing it
sorry.
out.
I'm sorry. I just couldn't resist myself. I'm sorry about it. Okay, let's move to the next person because I don't think we have anything on James Tedford.
So the next one, is it more on the senior age
No,
or
it's actually on the
opposite?
kid age. It's a very sad one.
Oh,
It's the saddest one out of all five victims for me personally. 8-year-old special needs boy Paul Jepson.
oh, jeez.
He goes missing on October 12, 1950. So it's a little less than a year after James Tedford, a little less than 4 years than Paula, and a little more, as I can tell, than 5 years from um, uh, Midi Rivers. So, giving you the timeline, he goes missing from the Bennington town dump. His mother took him there because the family were farmers and they were keeping some pigs in the Bennington town dump. His mother left him unattended in the car for about 30 minutes, but when she returned, he was gone. Later on, investigation began into his case. A bloodhound was utilized, and the dog tracked Paul Jepson's scent to a road intersection, and then it just ended. The scent abruptly ended,
Do you
and
think he was picked up?
his father believes that maybe Paul was a victim of hit and run, and then the driver just took the body and hit it.
Potentially, yeah, because why would the scent just.
Send just send.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a few things to discuss about Paul Jepson's case. I don't think it's weird that the mother left 8-year-old unattended because first of all, it's 1950. It's
Oh,
a
come on,
different,
it's still a car.
still a car, and it's a different time. So I feel like this is not the first time the mother did that. It's probably like
Oh my gosh, if that happened during these present times, dude, there's gonna be a lot of like questions.
backlash to the mother. But maybe I'm thinking back in the day, maybe it was a different time. So
That's true. Back then, maybe they just started having cars. I don't know when cars started.
cars definitely started just like not that long ago, back in the
Yeah.
50s. So I would say that it's not entirely weird, and I will say that the two things that I want to talk about is why did the boy got out of the car? Was it his own on his own accord, or did someone took him out of
I
there?
think so. I think it's his own accord because come on, he was in a car for a while. Of course, he might get bored. Of course, he's gonna get out.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And then why does his scent end?
Either someone picked him up alive or someone picked him up not
Because
alive.
the bloodhound, in theory, they would just kept following the scent if it was there. So it wasn't there.
If it was in the forest, then I would say maybe there's a possibility he got lost. But
But
it was
seems
in
like
an
someone picked him
intersection.
up. So
Yeah.
so now we're thinking, okay, if Paul Jepson may have been a victim of an abduction, then and it's close to Bennington, then maybe it could be connected to Paula's case.
I don't see any
Do you
similarities
think
between
there's
the
a?
two.
Do you think there's a? Yeah, there's no like immediate similarities, but I think there's possibilities. I Do you rule out the possibility of a serial killer who is responsible for? I just somehow don't think James Tedford, but Paul, Midi, and Paula.
It's just so random.
Yeah,
She's just the
Just a
most
person
random
killing people randomly, abducting them.
and in a discreet manner that we
Yeah.
never
So
really
you're
got.
ruling out, you don't think so?
I think it's just too random. I think whatever happened to them are different, isolated in their own way.
So what happened to Paul Jepson?
I have a feeling that he could have. Honestly, when we first started recording this one, our first recording, I thought he could have been lost in the forest, like that little kid, the 3-year-old who got lost in the forest, Riker Webb. You know about it, right?
Now I know.
Yeah, and he was a 3-year-old little boy who got lost in the forest for 2 days. He somehow survived, and he's completely okay now. But I mean, just a 3-year-old getting lost in the forest and survived 2 days for 2 days. It's a really crazy distance. And I thought Paul would have done the same. But now with this new information, I think there's a huge possibility that he could have been abducted or hit and run.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
I agree with that because his father said the same thing. So I agree that's looks like the most likely outcome, in my opinion. Uh, but it's two different things because if it's a hit and run, then that person committed an accident and covered up his crime. If it's a abduction, then we have someone who is willing to abduct children in Vermont. That's a small location for a person who would do that.
I mean, we don't know any case about child abduction in Vermont, right? During this time.
I don't think so.
Maybe we'll take a research into it later on and maybe we could talk about it.
And then let's round it up with the last person.
Let's go for it.
Frieda Lander was a 53-year-old hiker. She goes missing on October 28, 1950. It's 16 days after Paul Jepson disappears. 16 days later, 2 weeks later. She goes hiking with her, I think, what was it? Cousin? I think it was the cousin. And she slips as she's hiking somewhere in the long trail. So, it's not exactly in the same place where Paul goes missing, because Paul goes missing from Bennington, like the city. But Frieda goes missing from the trails, so somewhere more in the wooded areas. And she slips and she gets, her clothes dirty and wet. And she tells her cousin, you know what, I'm going to go back to camp. I'm going to take a shortcut. And then I'm going to meet you back up here later on. But she never returns. And her body was actually found in May of 1951, so a year later. Actually, not a year, half a year later. And it was found in a pond in an area that was searched previously. So naturally, the big question is, how did her body turn up in a pond that was searched initially? And the speculation here is that she potentially slipped somewhere again on the way back during her shortcut, got into some crevice or something, into some waterway, and her body was later spat out in that pond after the winter or something like that. So that's how they explain it. So very weird. The woman goes back alone, and her body is found due to decomposition. The cause of death is undetermined.
I think this could be a natural cause. What do you think? Maybe she got lost and maybe.
I think it could. But I'm thinking it makes it. Don't you find it strange how many people went missing? And I want to emphasize the fact that after Frieda, I think it stopped.
Jeez.
For decades. So don't you find it strange? We're not just talking about, like a yearly occurrence. We're talking about 5 years where all of these things were happening and then it stopped for decades.
Yeah, that's just creepy.
No, do you think it's all just,
It could be purely coincidental, but still,
what
in a creepy way.
is the coincidence here?
I like the timing.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think they're
I
all
mean, it's
connected.
unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. I don't think they're all connected. I
Yeah.
do think for some unfortunate reason, bad things happen to them, to these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. I think I personally am assuming that Midi got lost, Paul got hit and run, Paula abducted by Fred. I don't know.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know. I find him really, really suspicious in this case. Who's the second guy?
No. So Paula was the second guy. First
Oh
was
yeah,
Midi.
Midi,
Third was
Paula.
James Tedford, the World War I veteran.
Yeah, I think he could have been. I don't know, like something mental. He could have been mentally sick. He
Mm.
could have been lost. Maybe he's in Bennington as a homeless person. Maybe in some other state. I don't know. Maybe he succumbed to the nature.
Amnesia.
Yeah, in the forest, got lost in there. And yeah, what do you
Okay.
think?
I think. I think you know. I think. Yeah. Rationally thinking, this is all just coincidences. But I will say, it's weird to me that it's kind of just in this one area and in the period of 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then nothing significant after.
Definitely. But how big is this triangle though? Maybe it's like really massive. It's not as
No, it's just a small piece
coincidental.
of Vermont state, and Vermont is not a very big state. It's not that big. It's kind of like Lithuania, or like half of Lithuania, or maybe like even less
Oh,
than.
come on, Lithuania's massive.
No, I'm thinking probably less than Lithuania, or maybe like a Lithuania. I don't know. I don't know. I, no, it's definitely less than Lithuania, but maybe it's like, the thing is, imagine like Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania,
Mm-hmm.
just with 20K people, and that's how it's happening,
Oh yeah, no, it's weird.
right?
Mm-hmm. Thinking
It's
about it,
not
yeah,
like
it's weird.
it's not like there's more people there, you know?
And even lesser people around the forest.
Yeah, basically, right?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Okay, now moving forward, I remember last recording session you were talking about some weird sightings in the forest, like the man who was
Oh yeah.
what was it called again?
No,
The
so
Naked Forest Man?
nah, it was called the Wild Man. So even before the five people went missing back in the day, there was a few other incidents that took place in the vicinity. Specifically in 1867, so this is a very long time ago. This is even well before the five missing people that we talked about today. This is like almost like 100 years even before that. So in 67, residents of Bennington and Glastonbury, because Glastonbury at that point was still a town with people, they reported a wild man terrorizing them. This wild man was described as an unkempt, naked man wearing only a coat. He was seen flashing residents and waving a pistol at them before once again retreating into the forest. Okay. And there were some rumors that suggested that he could have been living in one of those boulder caves in the region. And
Although that's just really creepy. Can you imagine like walking in a trail? You're kind of like in the middle of nowhere, not really
yeah,
close to anything, not close to your car, and then all of a sudden there was this weird.
a man who just flashes his junk.
Oh, with a pistol.
Yeah, with a
Without the
pistol.
pistol, it could have been just like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
So how would that connect to the Bennington Triangle? Well, this would be some supernatural now stuff we're talking about. I think we would have to go on that Bigfoot vibes. If we are gonna delve deeper into it, which I would probably avoid right now, but because there's no real connection, because this guy would be like 190 by the day, so it's like
With a pistol.
with a pistol. What kind of pistol in the 1900? What kind of pistol is that?
I was thinking of like something like a revolver. That's what I've been picturing.
Yeah, and then wow, just a strange. But multiple people reported him, so I wouldn't discredit that he never existed. And then yeah, can you imagine?
He stopped though, right? Because we don't have any more sightings of him.
Yeah, apparently he stopped eventually. But that's the only thing I kind of wanted to bring back. That there's wild man, so it's not like the first time something strange is happening in the Bennington Triangle area. And now I want to talk about the recent case. Remember 2008? We already talked about it during the failed recording, but now I want to bring it back again. Robert Singley, October 3rd, 2008, 27-year-old hiker. This is 2008. This is the most recent weird moment in the Bennington Triangle to date. So this guy, 27-year-old Robert Singley, he was just hiking in the location. Apparently he was hiking the long trail. I think he was moving up to the Glastonbury Mountain himself. He had a bizarre experience. He basically sets out on a hike. He wanted to go for a day hike in that same exact location where Paula Welden had last been seen 62 years earlier. So, as he was done with the hike, he decided to walk back to his car because he took the car, I think, to the trail and then he started hiking. So he's walking back, and then after a while, he thinks to himself, dude, I've been walking for way too long now. I should have reached my car at this point. So he stops walking and he apparently just takes shelter under a maple tree because it was getting super dark at that point.
And I remember you mentioned that maple tree kind of looked weird. If you remember
I
correctly.
think he said that for some reason that maple
It
tree,
was attracting him for
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever that means.
Creepy.
And then the whole night under the maple tree, he couldn't hear anything. Like it was so quiet in the middle of the Vermont forest. There was no sound. Just like in this room, there's no sound. Could you imagine? 3 a.m. You're under a maple tree. There's nothing.
I would have been so scared.
It's just darkness.
Yeah, no.
And you can't see too far away. So you don't know what's out there.
Yep, nope. Nuh-uh.
Right? So as the morning approached, he realized that he was in a completely different location from where he thought that he was. He assumed that he was kind of close to the car, but in fact he was miles away, many miles away, kind of almost at the the Glastonbury Mountain. So it's almost like
He was close to the center.
as he was hiking, is there a possibility that there was an energy pulling him towards the mountain, just like that same energy that may have pulled Paula? And that he was,
Potentially, yeah.
this dark Abenaki energy was pulling them both, and that he's the only one who got out alive.
Because of
Right?
that maple tree.
Yeah.
I remember my brother, he used to do a lot of he was a mountaineer at one point, and he mentioned that some of the mountain experts, like, the guys who are doing it every day, like going up the summit through a dense forest, they mentioned and they told him that sometimes the forest could play tricks on you, and some of them believe that they are mountain spirits, and you should never disrespect them. Which is pretty weird. Is this true in this regard? I don't know. It's only just. We can only speculate, but it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's definitely strange. I've never.
Do you believe in it, though?
No, not really, because it's hard for me to believe. I'm open to the possibility, but it's hard for me to believe because I've never in my life experienced anything paranormal. Never. Maybe I did, but it was probably so little that I already forgot. So it's hard for me to believe. I think maybe I need to go into those abandoned like hospitals
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're on your own here.
because that's the only way I could probably start believing because I just don't see any ghosts around. I never feel them, but I'm open to the possibility. I mean, so many people report weird sightings, so why not? But I just personally never seen anything weird.
What do you think happened to Robert then? What was that about?
I don't know. So I'm asking, do you think it's that Abenaki energy dragging him towards the mountain?
I actually would believe it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm more open to the
That there's
possibility of it.
Abenaki energy.
There could be some weird things happening that we don't understand, maybe up that mountain. Because if the natives think that there is, I swear, I'll believe whatever they say.
I mean, yeah, the natives are very credible people, right?
No, it's more of like they live in nature. They have more connection to nature, and I think they would know.
They've
things.
seen more.
They've seen more.
They felt more.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I don't know, for them, I feel like they're kind of like the experts in this field. So yeah, I would believe them.
Yeah. I mean, definitely better than us, right?
Way better than us. We live in a city.
Yeah. Like, I'm not
I
good.
don't even know which mushroom to pick during the autumn season.
Yeah, we're probably as bad as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this concludes all the stories that we wanted to bring up from the Bennington Triangle. I think we did a very good job, like recounting everything we talked about on the Lost episode. And once again, sorry that this is gonna come out later. I'm probably gonna post this on the middle of the weekend or something, and then we're gonna jump into the next one.
We'll try to get back to the regular schedule as much as we can.
As soon as we can, dude. As soon as we can, we're gonna be back. We're sorry, guys, but yeah, I've seen
It's just been a crazy week.
crazy week.
And,
I've seen an uptick. I've seen an uptick in people listening on the
that's
apps.
nice.
Yeah, I think it's because we started doing the longer versions where
and then the regular scheduling until we kind of effed up.
Yeah, but I think the scheduling is not the problem. I think most people don't really care if it's on a Wednesday or a Thursday. I think as long as it's kind of regularly on the same area. Obviously, I will say this, we aim to launch every Wednesday, 5 a.m. New York time. That's the ambition. Every Wednesday, 5 a.m. New York time should be when we're putting them out, and I think usually that's what's gonna happen. It's just sometimes
You
schedules.
fail, sometimes life happens, sometimes work related stuff are crazy, and we're still grateful that you guys tune in.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like 5 a.m. on a Wednesday New York time, that's when we should be launching. So hopefully we can
Are you saying that to me or to the audience?
I don't know, to everyone.
Get the memo. We need to push something out by Wednesday.
Oh no. I'm not saying that there's any pressure to do it. I think definitely not. Don't get the wrong idea here. I think everything's cool.
I enjoy our recordings, and I hope that our audience members enjoy listening to us.
Yeah, on the contrary, I will say this is that I feel like having a rushed out thing rather than a well-researched, prepared thing is never the right answer. So, but I think ever since we kind of started doing these longer ones, I think people started commenting more, liking more. I've seen the listen time just went almost double. Well, the podcast is longer, but at the same time also like people that listen to this thing, they don't necessarily tune out immediately either. So there are some definitely huge benefits. And then also for me, it feels like it's way better because now every case that we talked about, I kind of remember what it was. But back in the day when we were just pushing out as soon as
it was just a random
I would
stuff.
forget about it the next day. Now this Bennington Triangle, I'll remember it forever.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The topics that we are talking about recently are kind of more on the interesting side.
Exactly. So enough of this small talk. We will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening.
And we will see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.